7. Money mindset shifts that could change your financial future. In 2026, let me ask you a question. What if the biggest thing standing between where you are financially today and where you want to be isn't simply how much money you make? What if it's how you think about money, income, opportunity, and your future? Think about this. Two people can earn almost the exact same income. 10 years later, one may still be living paycheck to paycheck, while the other has savings, investments, additional income streams, and more financial choices. What made the difference? It wasn't necessarily luck. It wasn't necessarily a six-figure salary. And it certainly wasn't an overnight success story. Sometimes the difference starts with a change in mindset. Today, we're going to talk about 7 money mindset shifts that could change your financial future in 2026 and beyond. And one of these shifts may completely change the way you think about earning extra income. So ask yourself this question as we get started. Am I simply earning money, or am I building a financial future? Welcome to Income Opportunity Today. I'm Sheila Gray. On this channel, we talk about income opportunities, entrepreneurship, technology, building additional sources of income, and ways ordinary people can begin thinking differently about their financial futures. This isn't about getting rich overnight. It's not about some magic system. And it's definitely not about believing that everybody needs to quit their job and become an entrepreneur. It's about something much more practical. Creating options. Because having one paycheck may pay your bills today. But what happens if that paycheck disappears? What happens when you want to retire? What happens when inflation increases your expenses? Or what happens when you simply decide that you want more control over your time? That's where our first mindset shift begins. Stop thinking only about making more money. Most people have been taught one basic financial formula. Need more money? Work more hours. Want a bigger paycheck? Get another job. Need extra income? Work overtime. And there's nothing wrong with working. Work has helped millions of families build good lives. But here's the question. How many hours can you realistically work? There are only 24 hours in a day. Eventually, you run into a limit. That's why the first mindset shift is moving from simply asking, how can I work more? To asking, how can I create more value? Your knowledge can create value. Your experience can create value. A business can create value. Investments may create income. Technology can create leverage. Even something you've learned over 20 or 30 years could potentially become valuable to someone else. The goal isn't necessarily to stop working. The goal is to stop believing that working more hours is the only way to improve your financial situation. Your job doesn't have to be your entire financial plan. Let me ask you something. If your paycheck stopped for the next 6 months, what would happen? That's not meant to scare you. It's a question worth thinking about. A job can be an excellent foundation, but your paycheck doesn't necessarily have to be your entire financial strategy. Imagine 2 friends. We'll call them David and Robert. Both are 50 years old. Both earn around $60,000 a year. Both have worked most of their adult lives. David's entire financial strategy depends on his paycheck. Every raise creates a slightly more expensive lifestyle. A nicer car, more subscriptions, more spending. Robert takes a different approach. He keeps his job, but over several years he begins building savings, contributes toward retirement, learns about investing, reduces unnecessary debt, and experiments with a small side business based on a skill he already has. At first, the difference between them isn't dramatic. But imagine them 10 or 15 years later. David still needs every paycheck. Robert has started creating choices. That's the mindset shift. Income isn't only about what comes in this month. It's also about what you're building for tomorrow. Stop chasing passive income and start building additional income. You've probably heard people online say, build passive income, make money while you sleep, never work again. It sounds great, but let's ask a better question. How passive is passive income really? Rental property requires management. A business requires work. Content creation requires content. Investing requires capital and involves risk. Even automated businesses need monitoring. So instead of becoming obsessed with the words passive income, consider another idea: additional income. Could you create income beyond your primary paycheck? Could you develop recurring income? Could you build investment income over time? Could you turn knowledge or experience into a service? Could you participate in a legitimate business opportunity? Could technology help you operate something more efficiently? You don't necessarily need 10 income streams. Sometimes, building a second dependable source of income can make a meaningful difference. Invest in your skills before you chase the next opportunity. Here's a question many people don't ask. What skill do I have today that somebody would actually pay me for? We often look outside ourselves for the next opportunity, but sometimes the opportunity begins with increasing our own value. Technology is changing quickly. Artificial intelligence is changing businesses. Online platforms are changing marketing. Automation is changing how companies operate. But technology alone doesn't create success. People still need knowledge. They still need judgment. They still need communication. They still need leadership. And they still need experience. Suppose someone has spent 25 years in construction. Another person has spent 20 years in sales. Someone else understands bookkeeping. Another knows how to repair homes. Another knows how to organize events. Another has decades of management experience. Those skills have value. The question becomes, how could those skills be used differently in today's economy? Sometimes your next income opportunity isn't something completely new. It may be a new way of using something you already know. Use technology as leverage, not as a lottery ticket. AI, cryptocurrency, automation, e-commerce, social media, digital businesses. We're surrounded by technology that previous generations couldn't have imagined. And that creates opportunities. But there's also a danger. Every new technology attracts people promising instant wealth. So here's the mindset shift. Don't confuse innovation with guaranteed income. Technology is a tool. A smartphone can connect you with customers around the world. AI can help a small business perform tasks that once required several people. Online platforms can allow an individual to reach thousands of potential customers, but none of that guarantees success. You still have to understand what you're doing. You still have to evaluate risk, and you still have to determine whether an opportunity makes sense for you. Don't ask, what's the fastest way to get rich with this technology? Ask, how could this technology help me create real value? That's a very different question. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Have you ever looked at an opportunity and said, I should have gotten into that 5 years ago? Most of us have. But here's something interesting. 5 years from now, people will probably look back at opportunities available today and say exactly the same thing. That doesn't mean jumping into everything. It means being willing to learn. Remember Robert from our story? Imagine that he spent 3 years researching every possible side business, but never tried anything. He watched videos, he read articles, he attended webinars, he talked about entrepreneurship, but he never moved beyond research. Would his financial situation change? Probably not. Information becomes valuable when it eventually leads to better decisions. You don't have to know everything, But you do need to recognize the difference between being cautious and being permanently afraid to make a decision. Ask yourself, have I been researching opportunities or hiding behind research because I'm afraid to try something new? That's a question only you can answer. Build for freedom, not just for more stuff. This may be the most important mindset shift of all. Why do you want more money? Is it for another car, a bigger house, more clothes, more things? There's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying what you've earned, but eventually, more possessions don't necessarily create more freedom. Financial freedom can mean something very different. It could mean having enough savings to handle an emergency. It could mean reducing debt. It could mean having the option to leave a job you no longer enjoy. It could mean helping your children. It could mean traveling. It could mean retiring without constantly worrying about money. Or maybe it means having enough income that you can spend more time doing what matters to you. That's why wealth isn't simply about accumulating money, it's about creating choices. So instead of asking, how much money can I make? Try asking, what kind of life am I trying to build? Because once you answer that question, your income goals begin to have a purpose. Conclusion. Let's bring all 7 mindset shifts together. Maybe your financial future doesn't require you to become a millionaire. Maybe it doesn't require you to quit your job. Maybe it doesn't require you to discover the next Amazon, Bitcoin, or revolutionary AI company. Maybe it begins with something much simpler, changing the questions you're asking. Instead of, how can I work more hours? Ask, how can I create more value? Instead of, where is the next get-rich-quick opportunity? Ask, what can I build consistently over time? Instead of, which technology is going to make me rich? Ask, how can I use technology to become more productive or create value? Instead of depending entirely on one paycheck, ask, what could a second source of income look like for me? And instead of simply asking how much money you can accumulate, ask, what financial choices do I want to have 5, 10, or 20 years from now? Think about Robert from our story. His life didn't change because somebody handed him a secret formula. It changed because his thinking changed first. He stopped looking at his paycheck as his entire financial future. He started learning, he started building, he started thinking longer term, and little by little, those decisions created options. That's what I want you to remember from today's video. Don't focus only on earning more. Learn how to keep more, build more, invest wisely, protect what you've accumulated, and develop income that can give you more choices. Your financial future isn't created by one motivational speech. It's created by the decisions you continue making year after year. And the first decision may simply be deciding to think differently. CTA. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 mindset shifts hit home for you the most? And here's an even bigger question. If you could develop one additional source of income over the next 12 months, what would you want it to be? A small business, online income, investment income, consulting, a side hustle, or maybe you're still trying to figure that out. Put your answer in the comments. And if you're open to learning about different ways people are creating additional income in today's economy, make sure you subscribe to Income Opportunity today. We're going to continue exploring entrepreneurship, technology, AI, business opportunities, additional income strategies, and the changing world of work. Remember, your job can provide income. Your skills can create value. Your assets can build wealth. And additional income can create options. Thank you for watching Income Opportunity today. I'm Sheila Gray. I'll see you in the next video. Disclaimer. This content is provided for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, tax, legal, or business advice. Income opportunities involve varying levels of risk, cost, time, and effort, and results are never guaranteed. Always perform your own research and consider consulting an appropriate qualified professional before making financial or business decisions.